What is good with the people? I am Damo, the political plug. This is the Chop Up Show. I'm here with my dog, Toyuhgee. It's Friday night. It's late. Shout out to all the people on the West Coast that's still up on YouTube, big kicking. I'm with y'all. Labor Day weekend, right? 3-day weekend. All right, so yeah, we kicking it off right. We kicking off this holiday. Folks gonna be barbecuing, getting it right before we get into the fall, get into the school year for real. And we starting that out with the Chop Up. What's good with you, Toya? Hold on, we can't hear you.
How dare I be muted? Listen, I'm feeling good. All y'all miss me telling you that I'm happy to be here. It's another Friday night. We all a little interchangeable. But toward the end of the week, you can always count on the Chop Up Show to be in the mix with y'all trying to tap in and see what the word is. And so
Always.
it's good to be home. You feel me?
All right. With that being said,
What's up,
social
Emmanuel?
media.
What's good? What's good? We gotta greet Emmanuel real quick. Families
Shout
and
out to Emmanuel. Always family in the building. Shout out to Emmanuel.
everybody else in here. Make sure y'all come in here and say what's up with it. What's good? It's great to have you.
J Universe said y'all came on just as I was going to sleep. I'm up now. All right. All right. Well, we appreciate you getting that boost of energy to rock out with us. The conversation is very interesting, and it's not like it's not a usual chop up topic. Yeah, I mean, it's really the kind of type of shit we usually stray away from. Um, but I don't know. We can't do that. You went out again. Yeah. Uh, but we can't do that. Now, I told you get that right. Donnell in the building. Everybody, as y'all come in, make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all say what's up. But as y'all see in the title, and as Toya get her audio together, there have been interesting conversations about fatherhood that have taken place recently. I think you good now, T.
Yeah, me too. And I
Yeah.
definitely been seeing them. Y'all been seeing them. If you haven't been, we're gonna play some clips about it. But Nick Cannon and really Cam Newton is the one who kind of kicked it off and catalyzed a lot of the most recent discussions this week about family and relationships. So I guess we'll call this a relationship chop. We haven't really been naming our tops here lately. And the plug was like, we don't really talk about this. We do. We don't give as much attention to it because some of the discussions about, relationships are trite or
Don't want
end
to
up
be associated with. Don't want
you
to
know what
be
I'm saying? They're
associated
just
with
kind
it.
of
Yeah.
immature or just kind of ring hollow in a world where there are bigger things to kind of grapple with than $500 dates or $200 dates or who sits in the front and
Just
stuff like
goofy.
that. So we
We
try not
have
to.
had some of those conversations. Yes.
We
Okay.
have, but it's also,
Yeah.
as people who are building relationships, people who are, who participate in intimate relationships, people who participate in non-traditional relationships in a lot of interesting ways. I think on both sides, like we really put ourselves in positions to get into some of what makes, healthy bonds and healthy connections on that way. So it's not off the
Yeah.
table. We just make sure it's like a fruitful or meaningful conversation when we do this. So that being said,
It can't be the bullshit.
Dr. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We try to avoid that part. But Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, who is a therapist, she works, I think, in intimate relationships. I think she does some family therapy, so on and so forth. Participated in a podcast interview with Cam Newton a few weeks ago, or within this week, I think within the last 6 or 7 days, where they really got a lot into, him as a father, him and his aspirations or lack thereof as a husband. Excuse me,
Or
and
lack
just
thereof.
kind I'm gonna let the clip speak for itself, but it really set a ripple in a wave through the internet, and then we ended up with another Nick Cannon clip that we should watch as well. That really starts to get us to ask some questions about how men, and because these are uniquely Black men, these are settings and environments that are created for Black men to kind of express and articulate themselves. In what ways are these representative of what Black men feel about families, fatherhood, and things of that nature? And good or bad, right? And are they toxic or are they healthy for the Black communities that we're trying to maintain and sustain and that they will probably say they're invested in? So you got the Cam Newton clip?
I do. I do have the Cam Newton clip. That's who we're gonna start off with today.
Yeah.
Now, as a Carolina Panthers fan, Cam Newton did grow on me. You know what I mean? He did run into his Me Too issues during that era. We forget the name of a lot of the targets and niggas that got caught up in Me Too, and we forget Cam Newton was one of them. Uh, Now here we get into him breaking this down. So let's go ahead and hear what Cam got to say about all the damn kids he got.
A lot of people see my situation and not think that I'm not high function.
What situation?
Okay, so I'm not married. I have beautiful children.
How many?
8.
By how
8.
many women?
3. And this is the kicker. I want more.
By multiple women? What's the intent?
I
of
just
saying,
want
or
God
by
to
your
bring
wife?
them. I just want God to bring them.
Oh, okay.
My desire to get married is lower than my fear of divorce. So, as you had said, Dr. Bryant, you said it, I didn't say it, I will agree. I'm just taking my time.
You're not taking your time.
I am, though.
You're being very action-based. You're not taking your time.
I'm taking my time.
You're being very action-based. You have 8 kids with 3 different women.
Yes.
You are creating, procreating, and multiplying. That is not taking your time. You're being very selectively active, okay? So you're creating, in disclaimer, the kids are innocent, they are beautiful and amazing. Anything I say has nothing to do with them babies. But you are proactively choosing where you want to be active at and where you want to take your time. You want to take your time in having a wife because of your own fears. But you will, and I say this with all respect and love, what I'm about to say next, okay, Cam? But you will selfishly create broken families, even if you're in their life and you're a proactive father, and I believe you're an amazing daddy. I can only imagine with just your presence and knowing you. But these families are still broken. Every child cannot have Papa in the house with them. So some child, if not all, will end up with some kind of deficit without daddy being there. Now, you chose to do that. I'm not saying you sat there and woke up one morning and said, I want to be selfish today, so I'm going to go make a baby. Not saying that at all. But those are selfish acts at the expense of your fear. And yeah, that is a low functioning behavior. To say that I'm going to build these houses and put kids and these beautiful women and kids in them, but I ain't going to create a home in them. I'm going to wait till I dissipate my fear to find a wife where I'm still going to be fearful with, because there's no such thing as not having some type of nerve or some type of feeling behind marrying somebody. And then I'm going to build a home with her while all these other beautiful babies have houses. That's completely unfair and that's selfish. And so, yes, you're taking your time in this department, but you're not taking your time in this department, which means you're compartmentalizing. And compartmentalizing never works. Compartmentalizing hurts everybody involved. Everybody who's in this box and that box and this box and that box and this box. And then here you go over here trying to figure out what box you're going to feed or entertain or do. Then you're looking outside to figure out who's your next victim to put in the box. It's unhealthy.
Toya,
Yeah.
thoughts?
Well, I couldn't hear, number one. But from a lot of thoughts, right? Because I've seen the clip, it's been viral on timelines all week. So in a lot of ways, my recollection of a lot of the best parts of it, or a lot of the conversation about the conversation, were a few things. One, she ate him right on up. Like, and it's kind of hard to deflect from that. A lot of people were like, oh, you know, she actually doesn't have it. So let's sidebar it real quick. A lot of people were sensationalizing the fact that I guess she doesn't have a PhD in therapy, but it doesn't matter. When she was just absolutely correct about kind of this, excuse me, these broken homes he's creating, the trauma that he is kind of catalyzing, the way that he is not being considerate of how families exist, the notion that he's attracting women who are not these high quality, high functioning women that he really wants, or that he wants to attract. And so he's continuing to fall into a loop of getting and attracting people he doesn't want to marry, which means he's foreclosing his own opportunities because of the people he attracts, because of the mindset he has. A lot of people also, you know, make comments about kind of his just reception or lack thereof of what she was saying. And the last thing a lot of people thought was an interesting plug was how, you know, combative he was to receive it. And the way that you know that is by how much Olympic level gymnastics she had to do to like preface everything she was saying, or to make him feel better, or to like soften the blow of what she was trying to say. So, you know, I'm not that. You know, you're a good father, you're a good person, this isn't it. So I'm not trying to say this, or I'm not trying to say that. And that's the, I want you to make sure we, you know, because I'm not. And how much tiptoeing and eggshelling people have to do to even have coherent and functional conversations with people who are talking about things as high stakes as having children. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
those are some of like the just few major talking points, because, you know, people dissected that and ate it right on up. But here's what I wanted to ask about. Here's why I think we started to think this was an interesting discussion to have, and it's because he creates this very interesting dichotomy, right? This very interesting kind of two worlds he's has the choice to live in, and that he's choosing to live in, and these worlds can't they can't coexist. They can't be co-constitutive of one another. He's like basically set up a dualism. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That he's choosing for himself, and it's either have a baby or have a wife. And in this particular situation, he has even gone as far as to describe the fact that he thinks that it's easier or better, like the way he's describing things, or that it's just like his quality of life is better with 8 or more children because he wants more.
Yeah, because he
Right?
wants
He
more.
comes up
Yeah.
against says, I want more. As many as God, how many more? As many as kind of God blesses me with, as many as is set up for before I leave this earth. So he doesn't really care. And excuse me, those things are all so much better than being married to somebody. So, like, what is your two questions?
Yeah.
What is that a popular take that you have heard before? Is that normal to you? Are these consistent with the things that you've heard with the black men that you have communicated with over time? And
Yeah.
two, how do you feel about that?
No, so I feel like this is the first time like I heard a nigga admit this shit. Because the way that like I've always looked at niggas like
So matter of factly, too.
no, like just straight up, just like yeah, like I want kids, but I have a greater fear of divorce. And to
Yeah.
me, like that never fucking made sense. Cause I always looked at it like you making a commitment regardless. This woman is gonna be involved with you regardless. Whether you look at her like a wife, whether you and I'm not the most traditional nigga. I just so happen to live a sort of traditional life. You know what I'm saying? I found a woman I want to marry and I kind of moved on, had a son. You know, we live in our lives and all of that other type of shit. But like, I mean, when it comes to the reality of it, like, I didn't come from marriage. I came from baby mamas, baby daddies. You feel me? My daddy's kids, my mama's kids. You know what I mean? That's the type of that's where I came from. So like I always came from a place where people made these commitments regardless, and just marriage was never a part of the question. So for me,
Right.
and just based on what I saw, I was like, I'm cool. I ain't gonna be no baby daddy. And I keep it a stack. Like the way that my mama used to talk about my pops, she ain't never do no crazy shit, but just like the type of comment she would make, I was smart enough to kind of pick up on the sentiment. And I was like, from a child's age, I was like, ain't no woman ever gonna be able to talk about me the way that my mama talk about my daddy. It's
Right.
never gonna that's never gonna happen.
I mean,
Like,
because cash money shit. You know what I'm saying?
I was like,
Certain. I'm knowing your daddy got slid on, man. Respectfully. But
right. And so
yeah.
for me, I always looked at it like I am going to take this idea of having a child as extremely serious. And so like I take having a child more serious than being married. You feel me? Like some marriage is some shit I can choose to be a part of or I can choose to be removed from. You feel me? I marry a woman. If we don't have a kid, like I can, if we get divorced, we can go our separate ways and never see each other again. But when a child is involved, it changes the implications of that. I'm always gonna be as long as this individual is alive and exists, I'm always gonna be attached to this other person. And so for me, I like so that's why I didn't have my son until I was 30 or 33, really. You know what I mean? Because I took it that serious. And so, you know, even he knocking on the door right now, but that was because I was at a place where I was like, cool, I know for sure this is somebody. If I'm gonna be stuck with somebody, this is who I want to be stuck with, and that's why I ended up where I was at.
Just taking your logic a step further, too, I think if you are going to be a good parent, or at least, you know, take a healthy approach to parenting, I don't want to make an overall referendum on your parenting if you're not that great about speaking highly of the other parent. But
Yeah.
like, if you are intent on having a healthy child and, you know, healthily nourishing their relationship they have with this other person that's going to be in their life forever, as a father, like, you need to be able to do things like be mature enough to, like, you know, make sure your child respects their mother.
Right,
Right.
shit
So,
like
like,
that.
do things like, you know, did you ask your mama? Like, you know, that's not, we don't play that, you know, whatever, regardless of how you feel about her, are you able to separate those feelings and make sure you instill the wisdom in a child that is necessary for them to respect and honor their parent, regardless of what the terms and conditions of your relationship are? If not, you know what I'm saying? And this is not a dig on, like, even the example you gave about your mom, for example, but that's not probably the most healthy or productive way. Fortunately, the outcome of it was you being like, I know what not to be like. But other outcomes of it, you know what I'm saying, can sour the perception you have of your parent. You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah,
can really
yeah.
slow down the ability for you and your parent to really build and, you know, create a relationship. Because my mama said you ain't shit, and that's pretty much it. What my mama said. I live over there. I ain't at your
Yeah.
house. Really? You out
Yeah.
here being out there. You know what I'm saying? So it really kind of creates an instant separation. Both of them are so high stakes and have so many different contours to them.
He's talking
You know what I'm
marriage.
saying?
Yeah.
Because, like, okay, say for instance you have a child, you know what I'm saying, but like, say for instance, for example, you know what I'm saying, children with disabilities, special needs children, people need kind of that extra attention, those extra hands, that extra support. Like, how are you like, that's a whole lot easier than being married to something? Like, it's not. You know what I'm saying? There are so many different components of raising a child and nurturing a healthy relationship that are difficult. I just don't know how people can sit with themselves and be like, yep, it's clearly obvious that having a kid is easier. Shit, having a neurotypical, normatively functional, non-disabled child who just exists is hard work. But I'm just thinking of all the possibilities of, you know, the extra miscellaneous things about parenting that we don't think about, that niggas who just want to have, yeah, whatever.
And it's extremely interesting that you say that, because we're gonna get to the actually, let's go ahead and get to the Nick Cannon clip, because she also had a similar conversation with Nick Cannon. But now, before we get to that one, I think one more interesting thing that she pointed out was that, and we're gonna see this more with Nick Cannon, but
Yeah.
the interesting thing she pointed out was the question of it being a broken home. Like, broken homes typically imply an absent father, but with a father like Cam Newton, that absent aspect of it would be dismissed, because he's making sure that their lives are extremely, you know what I'm saying, well taken care of. So the idea that,
Well, I mean, too,
nah, go ahead.
yeah, I deal that. My bad. Well, no, I just want to make sure too, just looking at the comments, because we definitely is going up. Hey, shout out to Black Bambi, Joe Stokes, Q Butter, everybody in here, GQ Auto Sales. There's a lot of people in here. Shamir, Imhotep Mustafa, a bunch of people. But Donnell says we can also say that some of her language is antiquated. So why are blended families broken? Definitely agree with some of her points, but some of her language seemed problematic to me, especially as a doctor. And I do want to acknowledge, right? Because as we think about, you know, families and what makes families functional and this, that, and the other, we also have to recognize that Black families do not predicate themselves or have not functioned this long, this strong, this long historically, because they've looked like the standard nuclear family, right? Our families have been resilient and strong, and we've been functional because we've had grandma stay in the house a little bit longer, because we've allowed auntie and her kids and these other people and our cousins to sleep on our couch and become a second line child care, right? Our families are functional because we are able to split bills, because most people stay in our households at any given time. And so we just kind of divvy it up, and you bring your food stamps if that's what it is, or you bring your money from your checking. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've been able to do so many things with our family. To look at a parent outside of the home and say broken and just signify broken, or, you know, delineate or label it as broken, is something that we have to elevate and mature and graduate our language and our mindsets from, so that we don't get caught up in these tropes of what white people even have said that our families are supposed to look like, and disrespected us and degraded us because our families didn't look like theirs. So I do want to Donnell for that. And hopefully, Plug, that gave you a chance to go. I just wanted to give some credence to the criticism of broken language families. Although we get the gist of what she's talking about in terms of not having that support system and that the primary, secondary, tertiary support of system that kids need, not just money, not just financial, but the whole scope and scale of it all. So what were you saying? What were you about to say about, you know, that broken home support?
Oh no, I definitely, I'm glad you added that context, because like I look at it like I'm a product of stepfathers. You feel me? Like I had two men that legally adopted me. Like, both of them got killed in street because of street shit, but I had two men that legally adopted me. You feel me? That wasn't, you know what I mean? So from my perspective, like I appreciate the context behind how people look at families as broken, but they actually, you know, I feel like I became a great person because who actually did raise me, even though my father wasn't there, type shit.
Right.
But I do think that when it comes to people like with the type of privilege of Nick Cannon or of Cam Newton, the issue that you run into is the reason what makes them homes broken has to do with the relationship between the father and the mother. And in this context, it's one that's I mean, I really don't know the best way to describe it, but it's centered around money. You know what I mean? Like, it's an example of like a woman seeing a man as a come up, and a nigga and a child being created out of a come up situation, not really that's of a nurturing. I mean, the home can be nurturing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you could still be, get that type of love from that. But what the basis of it was very predatory. You know what I mean? Which was kind of mentioned in this past interview, and we're gonna see more in the interview with Nick Cannon. But it's how you view their mother. You know what I mean? It creates a dynamic with how the child also sees their mother, the relationship that they see y'all have, and what and how they interpret that and what that means and what that looks like. I think we don't take that serious enough. You feel me? And especially from the standpoint of baby mothers, baby fathers, like shit becomes optional at that point. In things that you would never, you feel me? Especially coming at like kids that came from, you know what I'm saying, single mothers and stepfathers and all that type of shit. Like that, it's not that those aren't things to be taken lightly. You feel me? And so I think in this instance, what's being exposed is how like certain levels of privilege, especially when it come to, you know what I'm saying, when it come to having bread like that, kind of excuse niggas from responsibilities that are greater than what it is that you could pay for and whether or not you can afford child support.
Well, I mean, I think that's a great segue to the Nick Cannon clip. Then go ahead and I can double check and make sure I can hear.
Yeah, I got you.
Pete, how he kind of approaches this conversation. Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is so, and I want to make sure I say her name and that she's not just the doctor who interviewed Cam Newton and Nick Cannon, because she's out here dropping bombs and sharing tea. It's really truly tea time with her, and she making them squirm. You know what I'm saying? I think the disposition of both Cam Newton and Nick Cannon to a greater extent in this interview demonstrate the discomfort that, you know, it's experienced when you hear the truth, when you know that you could be better, when you could do better, but you kind of relying on some old weird ass shit that when you hearing yourself say it out loud, this shit ain't as sweet as you think it is. You know what I'm saying? If you can only hear yourself, it's saying it is, you know what I'm saying? I think they twisting and turning and shit like that because they know you sound like Nick Cannon. You sound wild. So go ahead and press play. We'll go ahead and let it run, and then start to push towards some of the other parts of this discussion so we can jump into the other one.
I do want to hear from y'all. What do y'all think? What does the chat think is more serious? Is marriage more serious than having a baby? Is having a baby more serious than marriage? I mean, we need to develop some type of understanding, because it's like from the looks of it, you know what I mean? It seems like our influencers and the people who move the culture is just like the marriage thing. Nah, but I give y'all about 2 or 3 of them things. But let's hear Nick Cannon's perspective. This nigga's really become more known for sowing his seeds in his fucking movies and wilding out and shit. All right,
act and host and all types of stuff. Now we know got hella churn.
Hell of them. All right, let's get it.
But you're speaking from your experience, which makes it better.
I'm saying,
because your experience of these women is that they fall short for a jet and a good meal and a good man who says he goes
and
to
some
church.
Strong hands.
And let me go further, and probably a big penis. But so, okay,
you said it, not
so
me.
let me go. But again, a high functioning. I'm not even talking about value. A high functioning woman who's done the work.
I'm trying to hear what this high functioning woman is.
But a high functioning woman, you cannot send a jet and be toxic, and she will go on the
She don't know I'm toxic yet.
A high-functioning woman wouldn't even attract you, baby. Because it's law of attraction. Stick with me. Just stick with me.
Please explain this high-functioning
regulate your
woman.
emotions
I'm
and
listening.
stick with me. Regulate your emotions and stick
trying
with
to hear
me.
you.
Listen, what is law of attraction? We attract
who we are
despite who we think we are.
Absolutely.
Think we are.
Absolutely.
Okay. So a high-functioning woman is not going to attract by default, by her calibration. She's not attracting a man who is not perfect. The man has got all kinds of mess. So does she. But when it comes to the level of her calibration and functioning and mental health and doing the work, she's gonna attract that at which she is, that at what she leads with. So let me say this. Do I get on private jets that I pay for myself? Absolutely. Have I had a man do a wonderful, beautiful things for me? Absolutely. Have I had rocks and this and caught off weddings? Of course. But let me say this. Prior to me doing the work and being a high-functioning woman, I attracted low-functioning men. Hold on.
So you're saying you're a high-functioning woman who attracted low-functioning men?
No, it's not what I said. I said prior to me doing the work and becoming a high-functioning woman, my low-functioning self attracted low-functioning men. Hold on. You know why I attracted them? Because I needed low functioning to feed low functioning. Okay, hold on. A low-functioning man cannot feed a high-functioning woman, and a low-functioning woman can't feed a high-functioning man. And so what I'm telling you is there is no equally yoked there. If a high-functioning woman is a gallon, okay, and a low-functioning human being, let's just go human being, not even man and
Now she
woman.
got props.
We got props. This is the high-functioning person.
This is the high-functioning woman right here.
Just a person. Let's just.
So he couldn't be still. He couldn't let her get her words in edgewise, even though she did, and read him clear. He couldn't be receptive enough to listen. But I think the thing that blows me is that he still finds more and more people that's willing to have his kids. This is the same man who's sitting across from people who we will hope are intelligent.
This nigga said they don't know I'm toxic yet. You're Nick.
You know
Cannon,
what I'm saying?
bro.
Like they're talking about you, the baby mothers that already exist and future baby mothers out there that he's trying to find. He's giving you play by play. And so like, I don't know. I think one of the things that I really think back to, and I want to know from your perspective, because Nick Cannon has hella kids.
Hella kids.
Cam Newton has hella kids.
Hella kids.
So, you know, there are people out there who support their perspectives, who think that it's healthy for them to have other kids, or have hella kids. What is your take on people, especially fathers, who are not financially secure, who do not have the ability or the capacity to even maintain and sustain homes, but who walk around with this mentality, right? That it's easier to have a baby. That it's easier. Like, what damage do you think it does to young other prospective fathers, Black men in general, to the strength of Black communities? You know, because everybody's asking questions about political candidates these days. What are we doing for the Black community? What are your investments? What are your plans?
What are you doing for the Black family?
But there are people who are walking around with this mentality who don't even have the money that Cam Newton and Nick Cannon have to at least buy the toys when they can't show up for Christmas or the recital and, you know, whatever else.
Yeah.
Because obviously these people are not in these households, right? They're obviously going up and doing the heavy bulk of the raising and the rearing of these children. So what impacts or implications does this logic have on Black men, the Black community, Black families, where they don't even have that money to throw at the table or throw at the situation?
I think that's the because I'm not gonna give Cam Newton and them a pass because they can afford to pay off their guilt of not being at every game. You know what I'm saying? At not being at every play. At not being at every, you know what I'm saying? Because you can't. Because, you know what I mean, the way that you gotta spread yourself across different households. You feel me? So before I shit on the poor niggas that, you know what I'm saying, run up the maternity wards, I'm definitely gonna point the finger at niggas that literally had the capacity to provide for a family. Because one, don't talk to me about caring about Black family and this type of behavior being purported isn't something that niggas is gonna call out. Because this isn't family building. Yeah, like the way that the woman described it, it was broken homes. And the reason why the homes are broken is because the father is unwilling to make a commitment to what is being considered a family in this instance. And that's what's crazy to me, that somebody would be so reluctant, so cautious when it comes to having a wife, somebody that you can literally pull yourself from and protect your wealth with a premarital agreement. You know what I'm saying? Like all of you, like you're protected in a marriage to protect your wealth, your name, and everything else. But with a child, a whole nother being, a person that you bring it into this world is something that is just like you okay with, like you treat it like a card collection. I got 3 or 4 of them, and I got 8 of them, and I want more. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like you haven't even thought about establishing a type of home environment to nurture these souls. But you're already thinking of just having them for the sake of having them. Like that's wild to me. I don't really think this is anything that's unique to Black men. I think this sentiment is what is a greater issue, because we can look at the niggas like the broke niggas that's running it up with the kids. You know what I'm saying? That's not even there, that come and then got the nerve to complain about child support. But then, you know what I'm saying, you got the niggas that actually got the finances, and these niggas is okay. You getting the same outcome.
Yeah, you get the same thing.
You getting absent niggas Yeah, and again, studies show black men are there for their kids. We not even about to sit there and act like this is like a black man thing. You know what I mean? But when we are looking at the sentiment that's being purported by, you know, like people leaders in culture. Yeah, people in platforms, leaders in culture. It's like, yo, we have to take this shit more serious. You know what I'm saying? Like we have to take, like if we talking about, we have to take having kids more serious than marriage. Like, as if we taking marriage that serious, where somebody like Cam Newton is saying, I'm taking my time, bro, okay, put kids on the level 10 times more important than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and the fact, and I feel like that's like some common sense shit, but if it has to be said, at least I'm cool with being a nigga that say it. Just straight up. You feel me?
Last question about this.
It's a responsibility thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Fair. Last question about this before I slide. You know, a lot of people might look at the conversations like these and say, well, if you don't have kids, then, you know, can't really participate in these conversations. There's not a lot to be said, this and that, because, and these are just, you know, of course, timelines and stuff like that I'm reading where people are critical of people who don't even have kids, kind of making statements about the conditions of the households or like how poorly kids are going to be treated. What's your take on people, and this is more of a broad or general question, what's your take on people without children kind of chiming in on parenting, children conversations, just having general things to say about the decisions people make about how they approach raising kids? What's your take? And you're a father, you know what I'm saying? You got a kid.
Yeah.
So what's your single people and their perspectives on family?
I would never talk bad about somebody that either doesn't want kids or doesn't have kids or can't have kids. Cause I mean, you never know. I mean, to be honest, I think it's a bunch of people that have kids that shouldn't. I think there are a lot of people who shouldn't have children and are in the possession of many. You know what I mean? And it's a terrifying reality. So I don't think having kids is for everybody. And I think the people that don't want kids, I appreciate that honesty. You know what I mean? As opposed to bringing kids into the world where you have parents who never wanted you in the first place.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think people that don't have kids have a stake, because they gonna have to deal with our kids. Like these are the children that's gonna turn into people, and these people are gonna have an impact on society, and they're gonna exist in society. You feel me? And so they're gonna have to have that interaction, and the type of adults that parents are creating impact everybody. But I do think though that like it's a lot of shit that like, I know because my mama used to talk this shit. But she would tell me about my siblings and everything else. She'd just be like, you won't know until you have kids. You won't know until you're a parent. But what made me hot though is that she was right. it was shit that like it didn't connect. Like it was like, I think
something that you didn't think fat meat was greasy until you had our executive producer, and then you figured out, yeah, this is some bullshit. She was right.
I ain't gonna lie, this may be like small and superficial, but I now understand why parents say, stop crying or I'm gonna give you a reason to cry. I now understand why parents say that. And then I told myself I'm never gonna say it, and I found myself saying it like recently. But I think that's one of those instances, like the conversation about appreciation, about appreciating shit. You feel me? Because it's nothing like no bullshit. It is nothing like spoiling your child and then them acting like the world hates them. Like I don't know where my son learned this term from, but one of them kids at school taught him to say that's not fair. And he says that about everything. And when I'm telling you, like, nigga, I'm already stretching your bedtime. I already let you have 1 or 2 more cookies than you.
You don't even know. You have no idea.
Yeah. So like that level of damn, like this is you know what I'm saying? Like I'm really, I'm the one that's taking the loss in this situation. You feel me? And I'm still being looked at like I did something wrong. Like that's the type of shit that is like,
to make anybody laugh at. Anybody want to fight that.
Yeah. Oh. I mean, or to be for real, I think one of the things that I've been taking more serious, and this is the type of shit Cam Newton and them can't think about because they not involved like that. Is like You know what I mean? I want my son to be. I don't want my son to be disconnected culturally. Like even though we live in the suburbs, you know what I'm saying. I don't want him to, like not have a connection to black communities and like majority like black people and you know what I'm saying, learning and being around that type of shit. And just looking at the type of daycare.
He got a heavy
Yeah.
name. He got a responsibility to
You,
make sure.
you know what I'm saying? You feel me? And so, you know, it's little things like that. Like it's you know what I'm saying? It's the like I want to beat you because you did something dangerous and you hurt yourself, so I want to hurt you. Like how that makes sense? It does. As a parent, like you know what I'm saying? Like you damn near killed yourself, and now your mama about to kill you because you damn near killed yourself because because you almost killed her, killing your damn self. Like it's that type of
It's so much there. So much.
yeah, it's like all of that type of shit. All of that type of shit makes more sense, and I don't know how many times I done told my mama just straight up like, yeah, you were right. I get it all now. You feel me? And so yeah, and I think that's what you have. You got a parent that care when you like overly invested. Like I used to think my mama was just strict. It's like nah, she cared a fucking lot. You feel me?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for like that type of, you know what I'm saying, the seriousness that she took my life and, you know what I'm saying, my existence. You know what I mean? And she had 5 kids. So she had to make sure that we all was able to survive like that. And like my mama had 5 kids by the time, you know what I'm saying, she was like 25, damn near 30. You feel me? I got one at 33, and I'm like, it's no way that I could envision the commitment that she made to make sure that we were straight.
Nigga, my
You know what I
mom was
mean?
96 twins, and it was a boy and a girl. You get both ways. Ain't no sharing accessories.
Yeah,
Clothes on
yeah.
you. Fine.
And this nigga sitting on the internet talking about, I got 8 with 3 baby mamas, and I want more. Like my nigga. Like so just fuck them kids, bro. Kids can't be a question of a nigga ego.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's wild. But I mean,
sometimes I really do think niggas just kind of get off on the fact that if somebody walking in the most juvenile way, like if somebody who look like me and talk like me, and, so it's just kind of nice to have that out in the world. It's probably bigger than that. But for some people, I do feel like that it's just very infantilistic. Not I have a whole life in my hand, not a human being, an important person. Somebody has to contribute not only to the life of society, but like my life in a meaningful way. Like I want to like this nigga. I want a good person. I want to raise a good person. But it be good to me. These are not things that people are thinking about. They just like I got a junior, I got a little whatever. Somebody who look like me. Somebody who I can just when story time come around, ask me how things are. I can bring up something and show. Like I really feel like it's sad. It's sad, but. Not for everybody. Shout out to Great Black Fathers. I know a whole bunch of them. My mom with one right now. One used to be on the show and still connected. Shout out to Consciously. A whole bunch of great guys who, are not falling into these weird tropes of thinking marriage is the worst, most radioactive thing they could possibly do and kids is a walk in the park. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm glad anybody. I got enough people around me not falling for that.
I mean, and let's just say this, just to avoid this part of the conversation. Nobody is using Nick Cannon and Cam Newton as an example of black men.
Yeah.
Like let's just get this shit out the way. Like this is a criticism of these niggas and like niggas and niggas who think that this type of thinking is cool. We need to make sure if we promoting positive propaganda, that positive propaganda should be about being a father. An active father is not a nigga that could cut a check. Because it's niggas they make sure they pay their child support on time, in full, every month, and they ain't got shit to do with the growth and development of their child. So we need to make sure that what's being promoted is the fact that niggas are actively out here making sure their kids is straight mentally, emotionally, you know what I'm saying, financially, all that. It ain't just a matter of cutting a check. You know what I mean? Rich niggas do not get a pass in this shit. Y'all niggas don't raise y'all kids. That's the problem.
Right. Shout out to the chat. Definitely got a whole bunch of people lighting it up. GA, shout out to you dropping some comments. Regular Joe, Q is still in here. And it's telling everybody to smash that like button. Hit that thumb up. I like that advice. Go ahead and hit that thumb real quick. Definitely hit the bell so you can stay connected with all the Chop Up Show comments, conversations, all the things that's happening with us as we move into the fall season out of the summer. And, make sure you stay close. We love y'all. I got a lot of big love for the Chop Nation up in here. Real quick, want to go ahead and switch conversations to do a little political chopping real fast. And I'm gonna jump right into, I guess, asking about getting into the Harris-Walz vibe check post the DNC. Right, we
Right.
did an episode of the DNC. The energy was at an all-time high. Balloons, confetti, tears. So much excitement. People feeling as though they can finally breathe again. Literally, the slogan or one of them connected to the campaign is bringing the joy back to politics. Right. So there's a very intentional goal and strategy to like deliver politics with a smile, right? But as you know, we see these weeks pass. I guess it's been a couple of weeks now, maybe a week and a half. We're seeing more and more conversations pass. Uh, I think the energy needs to be appraised. I think the energy needs to be appraised. So I guess, and I want to hear from the chat, and I want to hear from the plug. My first question for everybody is, what is your perception around the Harris-Walz ticket a week and a half after the DNC and 66 or so days before Election Day? What is your read on the energy around these campaigns, and what are you seeing? Plug, you can go ahead and go while we let the chat populate a little bit.
Toya, you're saying your mic is doing something weird. So they're doing a little choppy. It's like bubbly or something. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I don't know. I'm gonna try to just move my hands and be good. But my question is just again, real quick, just in case I got lost. You answer the chat. What's the energy? What's read on the energy? Like, how do you? What are y'all talking about at y'all churches and y'all barbershops, at y'all mosques, on y'all podcasts, on y'all platforms? You know what I'm saying? I know we got a whole league and a whole lot of people who are connected and be having a lot of interesting conversations. Plus Chop Nation that already always being here. Like, we just got a lot of great people in here. Everybody in Chop Nation. What y'all hearing? Y'all got your ear to the ground? Like, what's the word?
I think it's a question of really like what we was talking about. I think it's a question of your algorithm. It's a question of what type of kind of social media message did you consume? Because like if I mean we know what conservative shit is saying. Yeah, actually, if we being honest about what conservative shit is saying, they look scared. They saying Trump, get your shit together. Like, you know what I'm saying? Conservatives, get your shit together. You're seeing more like fringe right-wing media that's not really beholden to Trump the same way Fox News is and other shit. But even Fox News is like, you know what I'm saying? Like the polls ain't looking good. It's shit. He need to stop coming up with names and talk policy. Do something productive. You feel me? So even you know, conservative media is starting to see the benefit. You had a question?
I do. I want to know, just because I don't know about kind of, and I'm assuming just because you can pull a plug, you have a pulse on this.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of Republican fractions, a lot of, you know, people going their separate ways, being upset, a lot of just infighting within conservatives over the last year or so. And then I feel like we also seeing a lot of Republicans be like, I'm voting for Kamala Harris. This is not the party I know. This is not the one I identify with.
Yeah.
I guess I want to ask, remember that phrase, quiet quitting, during the pandemic? Leaving the workplace, they were making big fusses about it, but they were just like not doing as much, not giving as much, not really fucking with it. Has that been more the case with Republicans or conservatives in relationship to the campaign, or are there disputes and like bigger conversations within the party or drama around how things are going, or is it pretty quiet?
So I think the more moderate wing of the party is up for grabs. I don't think they quietly doing it. I think, you know, with the amount of Republican speakers at the DNC, there was the amount of conservative military leaders and other like older political leaders who aren't necessarily in politics today, but they, you know what I'm saying, but they still, you know, they made a name for themselves. A lot of them is just like, nah, we not fucking with Trump. Like, it's too far off. You feel me? Like, yeah, we get it. We get the conservatism. We get the, we get the benefit of what you're trying to do with the Supreme Court. But everything else about you does not fit the facade that we want to maintain. Like, this isn't the respectable America. Like, this is the America that they make it easy to call racist. This is the America that they make it easy to call, you know what I'm saying, xenophobic. That they make it easy to say, like, this is the bloated American ego. You know what I mean? Like a fat loudmouth that really only know insults and talking shit. And anything productive he's void of. That can't be the face. And this is what I've been telling people for literally years at this point, that since Donald Trump lost the 2020 election, he has done nothing to appeal to the middle. He's done nothing to appeal to moderates. He's done nothing to appeal to independent voters. The only people who look at Donald Trump as somebody that's like, yo, yeah, this is somebody we should take serious, are already like far right. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, was that? I don't know. It was something went crazy with the audio. But it's the far right, the alt right, the people that just simply just hate Democrats. You know what I mean? They're the only ones who really are riding for Trump like that. And conservatives are starting to see it. And so in that stand from that lane, it's like they're recognizing that she's getting the momentum, she's getting the strength, and it's not looking good. From the standpoint of the liberal algorithm, like the progressive liberal algorithm,
hold on, I still want to make sure we're still talking about the energy and the vibe around things before we get to what the algorithms are saying.
For sure, yeah.
Distinction. I want to point to Regular Joe's comment, just because Regular Joe says, I personally haven't heard much positive about Kamala online or in real life. Everyone talking about her not being black, even at work. And so this is important. And this is why I asked this question, because everybody's timelines are different. Everybody's algorithms are different. Everybody's giving them a little bit of some different shades. And so for Regular Joe to say in real life and online, there's still people circling the drain about this is she black conversation, which make sure y'all go and check out our discussion about that. We had a whole kind of conversation about the questioning of her blackness, her identity, and what that looks like. But I think Regular Joe said even the old Chinese lady at work says she's not black. And I think this comment is important because there are people who, you know, are outside of the culture who have been given agency and been given, you know, the ability, the range to sit up here and question people's blackness. And this has started as, you know, since the Obama campaign, when you have people who don't have any relational, perceptual, theoretical, academic relationship to really understanding the intricacies of race and how it works, begging these types of questions. And that's because he's muddied the water with that ensemble of questions. That's because he's kind of poured that shit in there, shook it and stirred it and made it legitimate talking points or legitimate things the question are focused on. In this big ass world with all these problems going on, people's timelines, and people are still saying, is she black, right? So it's important. That's why I want to hear. And shout out to Psychopathist. Definitely see
my nigga Psycho. Yeah,
I'm not keeping up with him as well, but I definitely see you chiming in and tapping in. We appreciate that, even if you go on mute. Thank you so much for just being here. But I want to hear from other people, like what is your circle saying? My circles, and we're gonna get to liberal and leftist circles and conservative. We already know what the conservatives saying, but we're gonna talk about it in a second. But my people, my timeline is very mixed. It's a little bit of everything going on there, but that's because I'm connected to academics, right? I'm connected to activists. I'm also connected to critical race theorists, people who do this work, who are critical theorists, who look at, and not even that, but colonialism, who are looking at the war and the angles of that in terms of all this type of stuff. I'm looking at, you know, jaded Democrats who are begging for something to vote for. I know a lot of centrists and a lot of moderates. So, you know what I'm saying? So I want to know what y'all timelines are saying. Let me see. Let me look in the comments. What's up, Hood? Formerly Hood Therapy. What's good, Hood? What's popping with you? What's legit? What's going on with you? Q Butter been in here going back and forth. Big love for y'all.
Yeah. So I mean, I think
there's a little bit of feedback. I don't even know how I might even start fixing it.
Yeah, just try to just unplug it and plug it back in and see if it'll fix it.
Go ahead and say what people do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the conversations, like especially like what Psycho pointed out, is it's a few conversations that dominate certain sectors. I think in the pro-black sectors that we see on YouTube, I think what's dominating the conversation is the questions of her blackness. I don't think that's a conversation that she's winning in that context at all. I would say the only place where Kamala is really winning the context of her blackness is in more so liberal circles where they have a more open interpretation of blackness anyway. But I think like what Psycho is pointed out in the chat is really calling the question how we understand blackness and whether or not we should be gatekeepers of blackness. Those are the more the conversations that's happening in those type of places. But the liberals, like if we look at the progressive, the white liberals, they celebrating right now because if they're looking at their relationship with and I think you straight now, Toya. If you looking at their relationship with Joe Biden and Joe Biden in the polls, like it's been a complete, you know what I'm saying, 180. Like the type of turnout and the type of enthusiasm that Democrats are seeing, that white liberals and progressives are seeing from this standpoint, like I mean, I'm seeing like on TikTok you have people that's like clowns, like you a clown if you vote for Kamala Harris, and then they put in the dancing it clown type shit, like really just looking at the far left in the face and saying like, oh yeah, we stupid, you know what I'm saying, whatever, like shit, if being a clown is voting for Kamala, I'm gonna be a clown. See what I'm saying? Yeah. So they really over there celebrating. Yeah, they don't really have no problem with that. And so I think that you have like, and then like you said in the type of circles that you around, you're seeing more of like, nah, fuck the abandoned Kamala movement. You seeing all right, the DNC was your chance to show us that you took Palestine serious. It's people that's, I mean, in her CNN interview, she kind of stood on Joe Biden's Palestine policy. Niggas is not happy about, like, I mean, the people that wasn't happy about that still ain't happy about it. They ain't feeling no better about it. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, you the like how you, like what you seeing about Kamala is all dependent upon your algorithm. All depending on the type of information that you take in. Because if you on one side of the internet, you would think that she don't have a chance. Another side of the internet, you would think that nigga she's the closest thing to Jesus. You feel me? And I think that's the crazy part of social media and how that shit operates. It
really is, and that's what's making it's really hard. And I also think what's crazy is, because this election is so sticky and murky, and who you want to vote for says so much more about you than just who you happen to like, right? It speaks to how you feel racially. It speaks to how you feel about the police. It speaks to how you feel about the world. It speaks to so much more that people judge you about, that we kind of are siphoned off into the timelines, into social media, to have these conversations and figure out how people feel. Because you can't really, if you want to keep the peace and keep it cute and make sure that the workplace is the workplace, the classroom is a classroom, the friendship is a friendship, the kicking session, the smoke session is just that and nothing more, you're not really getting into the depth of it. You know what I'm saying? Of course, people are having hearty, healthy conversations, but it's, going out of style to talk politics again. You know what I mean? Because it's so hot button, because it's so incendiary, it really creates a real world where I guess I just speak for myself. I'm in spaces with highly educated people most of the time, but that's not a safe space no more for like the MAGA agenda and conservatism. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, like, no, really not at all.
Intelligent people who you wouldn't think, but are really, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's my shit. There are also a lot of people who, I would perceive to be interested in things like self-preservation or playing the long game, or, kind of, in the words of Nina Turner, giving a fuck about politics. Politics don't give a fuck about you. That's the more rogue version of what she said. But essentially, that's what she be saying. You can't not do politics, because politics is gonna do you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm kind of, there are some people I'm surprised don't have that disposition. They just like hard line. I don't care. I don't give a shit. Just really pessimist. You know what I'm saying? And in a lot of ways, we kind of talked about being, I identify myself, and this is a term that I've coined, as an Afro-structural realist, right? Like, I very muchly am invested in and identify with, and at the epicenter of my understanding and navigating of the world are the, the dynamics of anti-Blackness, understanding the role of the Middle Passage, understanding the, way that modernity is structured and positions my body and objectifies it in ways that, are just kind of fucked, right? But also structurally, like, I have an investment in institutions. I exist in institutions. I feel like navigating them is important, and imploding them, is a necessary kind of approach. You don't always get to be a blow up or bomb specialist and do shit from the outside. I personally feel like my role in, orienting ourselves toward a Pan-African resistance or liberation moment is to work from the inside. I'm not saying working from the outside is bad, that activisms are bad, but I'm gonna be a nigga in an institution doing some shit on the behalf of Black people to push back against anti-Blackness. And then the question of realism is just an understanding or perception of
what's
the
that's
fact that
gonna look like.
these are not theoretical threats. You know what I'm saying? These
Yeah.
are material threats that have the algorithms and outcomes and role players and things like that. So what is it that I do with the reality of the situation that exists, the impacts of the ways that policies, institutions, and shit play on my life, and how do I respond to those in real time? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
all of that to say, like I'm surrounded by all of these people, and I'm like, I don't want to fight, bro. Like I just want to. So it makes it hard to bridge the gap and kind of talk to them about some of those things, because a lot of, and this will be the last thing I say, a lot of leftists are like, if one more person asks me, what, so you want Trump to win? I'm gonna slap the shit out of them, because obviously not. But I'm not gonna sit up here and just vote for Kamala Harris because of this and that without asking further questions about the systems and structure she's opposed. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like I get all of that. And it's kind of it makes my head spin.
And that's why I have a unique perspective. I don't look at, because I am that leftist. You feel me? I can't create opposition with leftists who look at Kamala Harris and say can't do it. It's because somebody need to. It has to be the people that's unwilling. And that actually gets us to this part about plies, is because again, black men get centered in this conversation about who's voting for Trump. It makes me uncomfortable, because I feel like you have even though there are more black men that vote for Trump than black women, it's not like this significant cultural divide that we see. And you may have a different perspective, but it just doesn't. It's not something it's not as significant as people make it. What are you about to say before I play this video?
Because I want to agree with you so bad. But then, the last time I agreed with it is not as significant as people make it was like 2016, or I'm sorry, 2020. You know what I'm saying? 2016, when I couldn't fathom the fact that there were enough dummies out there who were willing to vote. They're just.
But it wasn't black men. No, it wasn't black people.
But let me do my line of thought. I just could not wrap my mind around the fact that there was enough of them to vote that way. Then I'm reminded of, you know what I'm saying, the white women who didn't vote in their own interest. And I was just like, there's not going to be enough. Like, surely there won't be enough white women to be like, no, I want to grab him by the pussy guy. Like, that's going to be persuasive. And then the white women got up there and did a whole show they ass. And so then when I look at black men, I want to feel like they're just a loud minority. I want to feel like they just are talking louder this time than they have. And what's very interesting,
black men Trump supporters.
You said what?
I said black men Trump supporters. You said you were talking about the loud minority.
Yes.
Yeah,
the loud minority. I want to believe that that's what it is, but I'm also not so sure, because uniquely this time, and I think this might be the first time in decades, if ever, both candidates have earmarked the black male vote. They have to be concerned about those people. That is a group of delegates that they can't afford to squander away. It's a vote that they want. It's a collective ballot that they're fighting for. And so this is new terrain. Yeah. And so that just by itself signifies to me that black men is shaking the table, and that they not as quiet, and that they are change makers. Because it's one thing for Donald Trump to focus on them and be like, oh, look at the black men. You know how he like to do. Look at, I got black men that like me. It's another thing for Kamala Harris to be concerned about those same black men and to be trying to bridge gaps with them and trying to make connections with them. And we saw the black man jump on that call. Niggas even knew that niggas was gonna be on some bullshit about this shit and was like, nah, we gotta circle these wagons and make sure niggas know what's up and what time it is. Because the black man's mind, as statistically, lingers away from what we would assume is the best interest. But those are also things black men are calling into question. Is she really in our best interest, right? Which, like you said, gets us to Plies, gets us to Charlemagne, so on and so forth. And they've been having a whole back and forth on social media. Go ahead.
Right, and you know what I think is unique about this back and forth is it's not Kamala Harris supporter versus Trump supporter. It's not that. Like I think what we see in this, what we're gonna see in this kind of back and forth is more of a this is the sentiment of black men. It's black men. It's black men. It's just like like I'm gonna support Kamala the way the Ply say it, and it's black men. It's like I'm not about to just jump out the window. And we're gonna talk about whose sentiment we agree with more.
Real quick before you press play, I want to shout out the chat because it's kind of going up a little bit, and I feel like these are people who know you far better than I. So it's good, y'all. Y'all, and I do talk fast. I'm sorry. I'll try to slow it down just a little bit. But y'all are in here. Y'all hitting that love button. Y'all saying what's good. Let me see. Leela, Miss Legit. I saw Miss Legit say the follow has been dropped.
And that's the Kansas City homie. Yeah, that's
from
the
the
Kansas
town.
City homie.
It makes it even sweeter. I gotta slow it down. If anything, if I'm talking fast, I'm gonna always slow it down and show love and say thank you. So I appreciate y'all hitting that thumb, hitting subscribe. It's just big love to y'all. But we can go ahead and go to the clip. I just want to say what's up.
Yeah. So this is Plies, and I know that a lot of my niggas are going to be completely against this the way this nigga Plies about to go off. But fuck it, let's do it.
Let's talk about it.
This is Plies on Kamala.
It's real motherfucking simple with me. Until Kamala Harris go to jail, until Kamala Harris become a convicted felon, until Kamala Harris file motherfucking bankruptcy 6 times, her and her company, until Kamala Harris is impeached twice, until Kamala Harris is indicted 4 motherfucking times, until Kamala Harris is found liable for sexual abuse, until Kamala Harris is found guilty of motherfucking fraud and got to pay $300 and some motherfucking million, until Kamala Harris start a motherfucking insurrection, until Kamala Harris try to overthrow a motherfucking election, until Kamala Harris is married 3 motherfucking times, until Kamala Harris have 5 kids from 3 different motherfucking men, until Kamala Harris do any of that, she's a better motherfucking candidate to me. Now you do whatever you want to do with your motherfucking vote. But I'm not voting for no motherfucking rich white man to be able to do whatever the fuck he want to do. I'm just not doing it. I don't hate motherfucking women that much. And I damn sure don't hate a black woman that much. So you can vote for a motherfucking AKA, or you can vote for the motherfucking KKK. You vote for whatever motherfucking K you want to motherfucking vote for. That's your motherfucking business. But Trump been telling you since 2017, he gonna show you that motherfucking healthcare plan. Has he shown you yet? He been telling you since 2017 that motherfucker coming in 2 weeks. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be beautiful. Has he showed you yet? He told you he's gonna overturn motherfucking Obamacare. Did he do it yet? He told you Mexico gonna pay for that funk ass wall over there. Did they motherfucking pay for it yet? He told you gonna raise motherfucking minimum wage. Did he do it yet? He was gonna lower the motherfucking price on prescription drugs. Did he do it yet? But she need to motherfucking explain something. She don't ever talk about her. Yes, she motherfucking do. You just don't want to motherfucking hear it. That lady told you she trying to get $25,000 a motherfucker who trying to buy homes. Trying to build 3 more motherfucking million homes. Trying to lower the drug prices for everybody, not just the elderly. Trying to get tax cut to the middle motherfucking class. That like trying to no tax on tips or whatever the hell it is. That lady telling you what she trying to motherfucking do. You just don't want to motherfucking hear
it. Okay. All right.
Now, this was couple. I want to make sure I acknowledge this is a couple Plies videos. There's another video that was coupled that we could couple with this, where he was critical of black men specifically and called out black men for demanding an explanation. Do you want to drop that one? Do you got it on deck?
I was gonna play the Charlemagne video in response to this.
Well, the Charlemagne video is actually, I think, in response to that video about black men and their demands for an explanation.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
I had to, yeah. So there was a second video, and I don't know if Plugger, you getting it pulled up, or do you want me to just explain it?
No. Yeah, I got it pulled up. I can get it pulled up.
All right, bet. Drop the other Plies joint.
So yeah,
I think this is important to see, just because Plies been on. He loved black women. You know what I'm saying? We've seen it with his love of Don Staley and South Carolina. We've seen it in a bunch of different ways, and the way that in his music, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of maturation in there in terms of how he talks about and orients himself around black women. And the chat is clearly on his neck, you know what I'm saying, in a lot of different ways about that. But I think it's important because Plies does use his platform to amplify black women, which I think everybody in the chat would agree is something that we care about and are invested in, regardless of the messenger or the texture of the voice or whatever it is. So go to the other videos and check them out. Just see if you go drop that one real quick. Yeah.
All right. So this is Plies in response to he feel like niggas constantly requesting, and then we're gonna have Charlemagne in the response after this.
And I mean, respectfully,
this real quick. Everybody who, especially the ones who look like me, and the men who look like me, who quick to. If Kamala want my vote, she need to explain herself to me what she gonna do for the black people. Listen, stop asking a motherfucking black woman to explain themselves to you or explain themselves to y'all. If y'all ain't willing to ask a motherfucking white man, this motherfucking explain himself. Y'all cool with the white man not explaining his motherfucking self to you. Oh, the motherfucking black, she need to explain herself to me what she gonna do for the black community. She want my vote, she need to explain herself. You ain't motherfucking asking the white man to explain his motherfucking self. You too motherfucking scared to ask him. Motherfucking somebody need to explain to some of y'all. Well, she been in the office already 3.5 years. Why she ain't do all the things she said she was gonna do? Cause she ain't the motherfucking president, that's why. When you go to the motherfucking McDonald's, that lady that's the motherfucking manager, she don't get to do what the fuck she wanna do. She might can give you some motherfucking fries, but that's about it. Some free motherfucking fries, that's about all she can motherfucking do. But she can't change the price of that motherfucking quarter pound up there. Or that motherfucking Big Mike. That ain't that motherfucking lady White House. She just like the motherfucking man. You motherfucking fall in line. Now, if you can get some motherfucking free fries out every now and again, you get some motherfucking free fries out. But y'all motherfucking know this. Most of y'all. But y'all just want something to motherfucking say. Now, if she was the motherfucking president and didn't do something, then that's a whole different motherfucking ballgame. And the same motherfucker who the motherfucking black woman need to explain that. Y'all the same motherfucker when Barack was running. He wasn't motherfucking black enough for you neither. And a lot of y'all, I done figured out what y'all getting confused. Y'all don't even want motherfucking black. Y'all want ignorant. That's what you motherfucking want. A lot of y'all think ignorant mean black. And that's why some of you motherfuckers like Trump, because he motherfucking ignorant. But I'm here to motherfucking tell you, everybody black ain't motherfucking ignorant. And everybody white ain't motherfucking smart. So put that in your motherfucking pipe and motherfucking smoke it.
Political plug.
Yeah.
A lot was said. A lot of and I think the two videos together side by side really paint the perspective of Plies effectively. One, I mean, and I think this kind of harkens on a consciously saying, don't think deep about shallow shit. You liable to drown in your own misunderstanding.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, like, why is it hard? The nigga who's a criminal, the nigga who's not, the one who is this, the candidate who's that, the one who is not doing this, the one that's doing that. On top of that, y'all want all these extra explanations when that should be good enough, realistically, or at least from his perspective. At this point, y'all ain't even doing the because I mean, honestly, I have not heard people say Donald Trump. I've heard people give him credit for things he's done for black people. I've heard people talk about how good he is and was to black people for whatever justification they have. But I haven't heard anybody assert that we need to hear more specific plans from him about Gaza, about Palestine, about this, that, and the other. It's kind of been a given that he's not going to do shit about it. And so the fire is up under her. We haven't heard demands on like concrete things that are going to happen with abortion and this, that, and the other shit. He's recently flip-flopped on, but those are expectations out of her. We haven't heard about plans for housing, dealing with homelessness, dealing with first-time home buyers, dealing with food costs. But he gets to run around. He's literally selling playing cards. Did you know that? He's selling Donald Trump like trading cards, not playing cards, like not King, Queen, Joker, Ace. Trading cards. Like, I didn't like literally like very clearly a money grab. Like their whole separate conversation about the Trump campaign being utterly broke. Because he done had all these lawsuits, he done had these fines, he done had to pay, he done had people who had money he done had to pay. They literally are they look crazy, things you've never seen from a campaign before, but nobody's critical of those things. Everybody's just like, where you playing? What you doing? Whatever. So
I feel like that's the hypocrisy. I feel like, yo, make your criticism about Kamala. More than likely, I'm agree with it. You know what I'm saying? We Afro-pessimists. Like, when you talk about the United States federal government, any real criticism that you have of them having to do with racism, having to do with the criminalization of black people, having to do with any type of, you know what I'm saying, like anti-black policy, it's not like niggas is not going to believe it. But at least make it solid. You feel me? Like third-party voters, what I give third-party voters, what I give, like really non-voters, where I give them more credit than Trump voters is at least they consistent. Like non-vote niggas is like, I don't fuck with neither. Yeah, I'm talking the most shit about Kamala, but I ain't voting for neither one of these motherfuckers anyway. So you can't even hit me with the, you know what I'm saying? But what about Trump? Fuck Trump too. People don't need to vote for that nigga either. Like that's a more legitimate argument than I'm gonna get in Kamala ass, But I'm gonna make excuses for Donald Trump though. That shit makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, because at what point? I mean, I've had multiple conversations with niggas, and the question that I'm always asking is, all right, cool. If you want to talk policy, let's talk policy. Give me one of Donald Trump's policies,
please.
Let's have that conversation. Do you know what's always lacking is the ability for a motherfucker to actually provide a policy that we can have a conversation about. And then, and while we asking that niggas need to explain shit, stop asking motherfuckers to explain shit that you ain't willing to look up yourself.
That
Psycho said third party. Yeah, that was a shout out to my nigga Psycho the resident third party voter. But yeah, stop asking me to explain shit to you if you ain't took the motherfucking time before you you join this conversation to understand what it is that you asking me about in the first place. You should never ask questions you don't know the answer to. And half the time when niggas is asking what has she done, they don't know actually.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
That's the first rule of cross-sex. You know, just as debaters, giving you the tea, giving you the game on how to make it through these exchanges alive. Never ask a question you don't already know the answer to. Never ask a question that you don't know and don't have an expectation for what you need to hear before you're able to recognize when somebody's full of shit. Because they'll waste your time and say a whole bunch of shit that don't really fucking matter, that's irrelevant, and that they think scores them points, when in reality they haven't even grappled with the heart of what your comment is. So you should call that out. But you can't, because you don't know the answers yourself.
Because you don't know the answers yourself. But now that gets us to the next part of the conversation though. Because while it's a lot of that sentiment that I agree with Plies with, the overly zealous liberal voter I am mistrusting of. Mm-hmm. Even though Plies said things that I agree with,
me too.
The zeal at which he does it makes me question certain things. Because as true leftists, we deal with the real liberal criticism. Like true leftists, even the ones that say that we willing to vote for her ass, don't trust no fucking Kamala Harris
at all. You know what I'm saying? It's all about really not even strategic moves, because I don't think to say that voting for Kamala Harris is a strategic move implies a vested trust. Right. In the system at some point to work itself out. So it's not that, like, never get it twisted, but I still like need lower taxes. Like, I still don't want gas to be fucking ridiculous. I still do go to the grocery store. I don't know about y'all, but every now and again I go grab a little produce, a little protein item, you know what I'm saying, to round out a meal. So these are things that I do consider and think about, and I think make the work in the real lives of the communities I care about, of activist attempts and efforts for them to actually do some of the work, get some of the funding, get their heels, they get their boots on the ground. Some of that is a portal through the state, right? Yeah. The state is bad, and it's bad in most instances, but the statement or the phrase is to use the master's tools to then deconstruct the master's house, and that has to be an option, right? I know you'll appreciate this. Joseph Barnes said, brick by brick and stone by stone, right? We have to begin to break down these structures and systems as they exist. And so, you know what I'm saying? Like, debate evidence, we've been reading for 20 years now, saying the same things about how even an activist approach must do. You can't be completely mindless about the way these systems, you participate, take up space, right? There are arguments that we used to run a debate called right-wing fill-in, right? The fear of right-wing fill-in, or the absence of your conversation, always already meaning somebody's gonna slide in there and take your space and speak on your interest in ways that don't represent what you really want. So at the very least, I'm gonna waste y'all's time. You know what I'm saying? This is what I mean when I talked about being an Afro-structural realist. I'm gonna come inside the system and make it difficult for you. I'm gonna put some kinks in the cogs. I'm gonna put some certain paperwork.
We're not about to make this shit easy for you. Yeah, we're not making this shit easy. I'm gonna make it hell.
I'm putting all the nigga kids on. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I do my job in fairness and equity. I work in a classroom, so I'm not unmindful of the fact that, you know what I'm saying, like, I have all of my students to serve, but I'm very serious about equity. So you know what I mean? When you sitting at the wall and somebody's standing up and they can just see over the wall, but then somebody needs a crate or something to stand on that's this tall to see over the wall, and then this person need a whole lot of help to stay on the wall and need to stand on my shoulders. We doing all that shit because everybody's gonna see over the wall, but I'm intimately invested in how good my nigga kids see, my queer kids see. I'm intimately invested in how young women in these spaces see. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what shapes and motivates why I give a shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This was what motivates why I can't just abandon Kamala Harris just because I don't like have you seen Snowfall?
Yeah, just because you don't like the way another nigga talks.
Because you don't like how a nigga talk. That's really what it is. Like, I'm not stupid. I'm not dummy. I'm not a dummy. I'm nobody's fool. It's just shit to be done regardless, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? So that really is like the fatalism that I can afford to buy into, just because it really becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where we play ourselves even faster and accelerate the shit. I'm not interested in accelerating the demise of niggas. You feel me?
And I think what happens is a part of the conversation is that where we go with the dialogue is niggas ain't grappled with that level of pessimism.
Yeah,
like that level of like that the concept of finding social life and social death and recognizing that you're moving within a particular system that works to your detriment, but you don't have a choice but to operate and make decisions within that system that work to your detriment. So the support for Kamala Harris comes with a kind of like a knowing support of the system that kind of is responsible for the imprisonment, is responsible for the deaths, but recognizing that this is a coerced participation. You know what I mean? Like you either choose physical death, or you try to find some ways to make social death productive. And that's what niggas end up doing that. But I do think people put too much, like what Plies is doing in this instance is putting way too much in like the participation aspect of it. Because like the participation should come with the criticism. The participation should never come at the cost of the questioning, which gets us to the last clip we're going to look at tonight, which is Charlemagne kind of responding. The one thing I want to make clear is because Charlemagne kind of calls into question who put Plies in position to be a political voice.
Come on, plug.
It's like Charlemagne of all people. And while I agree with calling that into question, I definitely agree with calling into question whether or not Plies should be the one that convincing people to vote for Kamala Harris. I don't think that's as productive as we think it is. Like getting out the vote, maybe, but Plies that my criticism of celebrities not being the focal point of our politics staying strong. I don't care how much I agree with him.
We can't miss the irony though. Real quick, we can't overlook the irony though of Charlemagne, because we have asked the question on this very show, nigga, who said you were the person? You know what I'm saying? Like they randomly chose you to be the voice of the black political America and talk. And so like both of y'all. Turn it off. Turn it off. Stop pressing record and go sit down with yourselves and read something, talk to some more people, because y'all sound crazy.
Please, because that's what's more problematic than all this is that because we usually don't center political dialogue around celebrities, but I think I think it's interesting because these two actually give us insight into the two arguments that we hear amongst black men. You feel me? Because I as a leftist, I have a lot of different. I have friends in a lot of different sectors. You feel me? And a lot of the politics that I'm a part of, a lot of the people I associate with calling the question. One of my niggas called me out for using inclusive language. I don't know if I don't know if I told you this story, but no. I was with a group of friends, and we was talking about homelessness, and I wasn't using the term homeless. I was using the term transient. I wasn't saying homeless. I was saying transient.
Only thing worse than that is when you say unhoused. They be like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, and I think I used unhoused too. I was using that language, and niggas was like, "Yo, why you talk like that?" I'm like, "Nigga, what you mean? Why I talk like what?" Niggas like, "Nigga, we saying homeless, like you saying transient, nigga. Like, what does that mean? We talk about homeless people." So it just became a thing centered around like how we discuss things and how we had these conversations, and a large portion of what I'm seeing. From these circles that aren't really you know what I'm saying in that left shit like that, it's like at the end of the day, you not about to scare us into shit. You're not about to trick us into shit. You know what I mean? You're not about to guilt us into shit. I don't like regardless of what you can bring in terms of who we should vote for whatever reason. This idea that Trump is just so bad, you're gonna have to do a lot more to convince me of that. You know what I mean? And so,
real quick, before you drop it, you about to drop the clip?
Yeah.
Before you drop the clip, there's a comment that I want to kind of make sure we address so that we're not being misunderstood in the criticism. Courtney says, "Why do people think because a person is a rapper, athlete, or regular hood dude, they can't be in the politics or say anything about it? People weird, bro." And I don't know if that's in relationship to our criticism of the Charlemagnes of the world or the Plazas of the world kind of engaging in these discussions. It's about the responsibility of a platform to do the reading, to do the research, to really have the context of full scope and scale of meaningful critique or meaningful contribution, so you don't lead people in the wrong direction. This is the reason why, for better or worse, Kendrick can get on and talk about blackness and it gets credibility because it's rooted in historical factualities that kind of lend themselves to what really happened. For example, they not like us, the criticism of the way colonization kind of happened in Atlanta, the way that was being perpetuated. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's some linearity and we can follow it. Is that there's a reflection of reading and scholarship. But for other niggas who just talk and don't want to read, they got buzzwords, and I ain't saying like reading is everything, because we not elitist to the point where it's like you got to read the books, but you need to have the contours, layers, and levels of these discussions figured out so that you don't over rely on these absolutes, right? Like you got to overcome. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where it starts to get weird, because you can tell there's not a level of complexity or depth and breadth to what it is that you're saying. You're just saying shit that kind of does sound good on the surface, but a couple seconds after critical thinking, ain't really this, ain't that. And so it's like, talk your shit. We've only ever asked, you know what I'm saying, that the standard be raised and the bar be raised because the stakes are so high. That's it.
Hey, and let's keep it a stack. The main moments that y'all complain about, like it's specifically talking about Charlamagne, the criticism applies is that there's just an overzealous approach to just, Donald Trump is bad, so we vote for Kamala. It's a lot of niggas that's not feeling that. And Plies really, as it really hasn't displayed or showcased any understanding outside, like any understanding of the criticism of Kamala Harris, you know what I'm saying, outside of just like, yo, she's not as bad as Trump. And while I agree with that sentiment, I'm not zealous about that. I'm not enthused to have to go with that sentiment. That sentiment is a more reflection of the impossible choices we have to make when engaging in an anti-black I
don't never want nobody to ever get it twisted. I'm voting very quietly. I'm not gonna post a sticker. I'm not gonna I'm gonna just do what I feel like need to be done. I'm gonna set my ass down somewhere because the joy, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I explained it because I was texting the plug during the DNC, like I'm feeling some fucking warm and fuzzies, but it's the same ones I feel when my show was on and the good part come on, because I recognize that this is scripted and it's made for my
propaganda.
But that I'm not I cut the TV off. You know what I'm saying? The same way I disconnect from the bullshit that we're kind of being given and spread. I just, for a second, I do look and listen.
And look, where I feel like Charlamagne lost his credibility is think about the things that we complain about the most when it comes to these most recent political candidates. When Hillary Clinton said hot sauce in my bag, who did she say it to?
Charlamagne the God.
When Joe Biden said you're not black if you don't vote for me, who did he say it to?
Charlamagne the God.
So even at and I'm sure Kamala Harris then went on the Breakfast Club and said some shit that niggas disagreed with. So if from the standpoint, if we,
that Tupac, I think that was where she said that smoke and listen to Tupac shit.
Smoke and listen to Tupac shit
when Tupac wasn't even out yet or whatever.
So explain to me then why Charlamagne the God should have any type of representation as the political voice for black people when all he's facilitated when it came to black people and the politicians that he's interacted with is stereotypical pandering bullshit.
Yeah.
Charlamagne the God is a part of the problem. So Courtney, that's more so. It's not that, I mean, because we even in debate, like our whole purpose in policy debate was to bring the hood perspective to like the what we call organic intellectuals. You know what I mean? Contrasted to the traditional intellectual that you get out of the academy. So it's like, yeah, niggas deserve a chance to display it. But Charlamagne, if y'all mad about all of them fucking statements that you've heard from all of these Democratic candidates, you should be mad at Charlamagne for facilitating those conversations. But he makes an interesting point that we're gonna get into here, and we're gonna comment on it on the other side.
Shout out to everybody watching. We got a decent amount of people in here, and I'm just really grateful y'all here this late at night / morning rocking with the Chop Up Show. So just thank y'all. Big love to Chop Nation.
Plies is absolutely positively wrong. If people are asking questions, that's great. I don't even know why Plies is making this a black woman versus black man thing. This isn't about black men and black women. It's about elected officials and potential voters. The whole point of campaign season is for candidates to go out there and explain to the American people why they should be the one in charge of this country. Votes are earned, not given. And they are earned through you going out there and explaining yourself. Vice President Kamala Harris has to go out there and explain her agenda and why she's the person for the job. Former President Donald Trump has to go out there and explain his agenda and why he should be the person to get his job again, or get the job again. I don't understand Plies or any black person for that matter telling black people to just settle. Just accept whatever the candidate is giving you. Don't ask any questions.
Yeah, but
just
they've been
vote.
doing it.
They don't have to explain
long,
anything to us.
They've been doing it for a long time. Even with Biden, when we ask questions to Biden, well, it's the best of two evils. You know what I mean? You got to pick one. But no, if you have questions, people should be able to ask. That's the point of a politician, right? They're supposed to represent us, represent our district, represent our country. Shouldn't we ask?
And by the way, they should be explaining without us asking. Mm-hmm. That's the whole point of them doing these press conferences and these meetings. Yeah. The same way these politicians have meetings for their donors and they have rallies and press conferences explaining themselves and their agendas to certain groups, they should have to explain themselves to black people the same way. Plies is 1,000,000,000% wrong.
Toya.
Yeah.
Is Plies 1,000,000,000% wrong?
No.
Okay.
Not 1,000,000,000. I think that's aggressive. My criticisms of Plies still stand, but my issue with what Charlamagne is saying and what he's talking about is that, and you can't answer it in you can't grapple with this issue with the election, with what's at stake, with just these kind of hard line surface level. And it's important to have a hard line and a strong foundational understanding for how you think, what you think and how you feel. But it's just so much more complex than that, because what he's forgetting is that you can ask questions without having to hold your ballot hostage in such a high-stakes situation where a Donald Trump is on the line to vote back or to be elected. So
that's interesting.
Why do you think so?
That you said that, but go ahead.
What? Why?
Well, because I feel like you a hostage holder. You a ballot hostage holder. You was definitely a ballot hostage holder a few months ago, nigga.
I mean, well, here's the thing. When you say I'm a ballot hostage holder, what do you mean?
So around the you're not about to make me cast a ballot because you think Donald Trump is the devil. True. You're not about to make me cast a ballot for somebody who is a part of a genocide and actively participating in funding a genocide. You know what I mean? And until you were the type of those things. Yeah. You're right. And so until there is a candidate that presents themselves in a way that you find your politics align with and that you find productive, you don't think that you have to cast a ballot, right?
True.
Yeah. It's about
right. And so it's about decision making. It's about actively participating without taking a hard line stance. This was also in the world where I had that perspective when there was a whole different Democratic candidate running. Right. So things have changed. Right. And I'm willing to move with the change. I'm willing to, for better or for worse, in either direction, say I have received new information. My position and my perspective has changed on the thing, which is a reflection of how I feel now. I just don't think it's healthy. A lot of people have, and there's a bunch of different takes on things. So I don't want to even say Charlamagne is completely wrong. But when I hear him say this, it is a less developed, less polished version than a couple of other arguments I've heard. Some people have said, I'm gonna vote for him, but yes, I'm gonna scream from the mountaintops. I'm gonna vote for her, but I'm gonna kick and scream all the way to the ballot box. I'm gonna scream the loudest. I'm gonna disrupt things, whatever, because that's the least that you can take and accept on the chin if you in exchange for my ballot. And so I'm gonna shake the table, but I have a plan. I have a long-term kind of orientation toward this thing that's not gonna be wrapped up and tangled up and some of the kind of short-term desires that, don't really predicate itself on shit like getting away from Donald Trump's version of America, from Project 2025, from a world where women don't have, agency over their bodies. Like, I'm pissed and I'm not going to like it and you're going to hear about it, but I still understand the game plan. Yeah. It's those people. And that's a more polished and evolved perspective than what Charlamagne is talking about. There are also people who are just like, you know what I'm saying? We got to be loud and direct now. And I'm going to withhold my ballot because we don't get a chance to hold and I guess this is more of his argument. We don't get a chance to hold them accountable once they get in the office. But I also think it's still short-sighted about who our opponent is. We're in unprecedented times.
Very much so. Which I feel like
it's just, I'm trying not to make it unique and special, but it is fucking unique and special. This is not the John Kerry, Barack Obama era of politics that we're talking about, where at least the Republican candidate is a reasonable individual with some type of meaningful best interest for the direction.
But even saying reasonable is literally only makes sense in the context of Donald Trump, because nobody would call the Obama or Bush era Republicans, nobody would call them reasonable.
I didn't vote for Mitt Romney. I didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just like, so none of that shit, but those were decent people. Those are candidates who just didn't respect or reflect rather my values, my family, the traditions that I hold important, and the vision for my future. But I didn't feel like my imminent, like,
I think the
deterioration as a woman, as a queer person, as a Black woman was on the line if I lived in a Mitt Romney America, a John Kerry America. I feel the complete opposite
about a Donald Trump
like it's just different, bro. And so to pretend to act like it's not, and I feel, and this is the last thing I want to say. I understand how potentially contradictory I could be in a world where I'm hollering political theater. The jokes write themselves. We already know how this script goes. White supremacy, you know, system and structure is gonna do what they want to do. So part of me is like, this is special, this is unique, and part of me is like, bitch, is it really? But
that's what I'm saying. That is the struggle of the Afro pessimist, because it's like we're thinking about, like, because we used to make all these arguments against this idea of pragmatism, like the myth of pragmatism. Because I even got asked a really good question today about we were talking about the collapse of America and why it would be people who would welcome that. Regardless of like the benefit that they have in life, they recognize we exist under a certain type of system, and if an end of that system came, it's people that would be like, "Hey, it was nice knowing you," type shit. Regardless of what that meant for their own personal, financial, or economic, and social well-being and safety and everything else. And so I think we end up stuck in a position where we're able to recognize, we know enough about the system to recognize the real threat that Donald Trump poses. And even most people with certain Supreme Court decisions are starting to kind of realize, like, yo, it's shit that's wild. But where I agree with Charlemagne is that, and where I hear this sentiment a lot, is that is the argument that is used to keep people pacified into the Democratic Party that we have now. And that is an argument that is difficult, that's difficult to combat. In a world where you have people that reject Trump and Kamala. I think the people that I have the least to say to is the people that is like, fuck both of them. Because I can't hit you with but Trump is worse. You know what I'm saying? And two, it ain't like you arguing in support of they motherfucking ass. You saying like there's the legitimate argument about the face of the face of genocide, the face of the empire, and not being responsible for you know what I'm saying, contributing to that individual. You know what I mean? Is the only moral high ground that you could take. You know what I mean? And to be honest, a lot of them people ain't doing the arguing about politics that we hear across, you know what I'm saying, back and forth between people who support Kamala and people who support Trump. You know what I mean? And the sentiment that Charlemagne is pointing out is is like you said, it's the more unrefined version. But simply put, it's like, no, we should never look at things look how bad this candidate is to make it easier for her to get in office. Even if she gonna get in the office, we not about to make it easy. But you got questions you got to answer. It's people you got to speak for. It's people you got to speak to. And to say that because we recognize the threat that Donald Trump is, that we shouldn't be asking those questions, or we shouldn't even be looking into those things, because a lot of these things we can look into, which means that if like when we looking into these things specifically, even if we do allow her to get into office, we can hold her feet to the fire at that time. You know what I mean? And I think that type of approach is more productive. But the problem is that it's people that's saying the things that Charlemagne's saying, but care more about the black question than the actual policy question. Absolutely. You feel me? It's people that saying the thing that Charlemagne's saying, and they Trump supporters. You know what I mean? Like that's where that shit just falls completely apart and don't make any sense. Because when we talk about racism, it's a wash. When we talking about locking black people up, it's a wash. Yeah. When we talking about inspiring, you know what I'm saying, or in the type of racism that keeps things the same, or even inspiring, you know what I'm saying, worse racists, it's a wash. You feel me? I shout out to Michael Eric Dyson. I say this all the time. Kamala Harris is not Moses. She is Pharaoh. Understand what we are getting into. Recognize the role. If your problem is racism and imperialism and colonization, don't vote. That's just the simplest answer. Because you're participating in that process when you do that shit. Just don't vote. Don't engage in the back and forth. Because I'm telling y'all, the back and forth about Kamala and Donald Trump does just as much to encourage the same bullshit Democrat versus Republican bickering that we see than casting a ballot. You're adding to the ecosystem. You adding to the ecosystem, but you're not even including your voice at least in the ballot box.
That.
At least. Or if you really vindictive like that, like my nigga Psycho, cast that third party ballot. Fuck it. I'm a voter, but I'm not participating in this shit.
And we'll let that be that.
So
what's that?
We can get ready. We can go ahead and close it out. I feel like that was the last one.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and really, y'all already know we're gonna be having some of these conversations all the way up to the election. A debate is coming up on September 10th. They finally get a chance to be one-on-one with each other. Mics will be muted so people can't interject and cut people off and be weird and shit. We'll see how that goes, both in terms of both of their styles and both of the ways that they plan to kind of get some ethos and build some connections with folks. I feel like ain't no more undecided voters left. I feel like if you undecided, you lying and you just scared to tell people who you want to vote for. You full of shit. But for the ones out there who don't know what they want to do, or the ones out there who want more confidence in the decision they're going to make in November, that'll be something that they can look at. And I think it's going to be 3 debates. So it'll be 2 more pretty quickly after that. And then it'll be November. Like, that's September. And then it'll be fucking November. So, right. And September starts this week. So shout out to everybody getting a 3-day weekend. Shout out to everybody off on Monday. Shout out to everybody not off on Monday who got a job or they still got to show up to it and do some labor. And on Labor Day, we still thinking about you and love y'all. Do us a favor. As we start to wrap things up and get up out of here, and make sure you hit the bell if you ain't hit the bell yet. Make sure you tap in if you ain't tapped in and say what's up. Shout out to Leanin', shout out to Z. Definitely got to shout out Z, legacy member of Chop Nation. So it's great to see you in the comments in the chat talking. We get to see each other on the gram every now and again, but it's great to have you in the building.
For sure.
And
everybody pulled up from Q Channel, appreciate y'all.
Everybody who pulled up and show love and dropped a thumb and hit that bell. We got big love for y'all. So make sure y'all tap in next week. Listen, I'm gonna tell y'all now, we're not having a show next Thursday. It might be another Friday show because next week the Kansas City Chiefs, the 2-time Super Bowl winning Kansas City Chiefs,
2-time Super Bowl winning,
they are playing the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday night. So I'm not gonna even play with y'all like I'm finna be here on Thursday evening, but catch us on Friday. This is why you need to hit the bell. So if we hit a juke like this, y'all can keep up with it. But we'll make sure to come back and have a conversation toward next weekend so that we can stay in the rotation and stay connected with y'all. Y'all make sure y'all stay connected with us. Plug, last words before we go and hit that button.
Man, listen, again, like Toya said, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if y'all ain't already did that. Go fuck with us on Instagram at the Chop Up Show on Instagram. You can follow me at the Political Plug on TikTok, on Instagram. Same thing. We're at Toyuhgee on Instagram.
Toyuhgee. Toyuhgee. Thank you, Leela. Great show.
It's spelled
phonetic.
Is it phonetically? Yeah.
Phonetically. Yeah. Shout out to Donnell. Happy Labor Day, y'all. True holiday for the people. Everybody else who showed love. Imhotep, Philly, kind of being interested in the comments, but I'm gonna show you love anyway. Psycho, Courtney, like I said, Z, Regular Joe. I want to shout out Old Student. Who else was in here talking to us?
My man GA, OGGA, OGGQ, OGGQ.
This legit.
Yeah.
GQ Auto Sales, everybody. James Jones is in here, and I know it's James Jones. It made me wonder if you're James Jones. I know, but I don't know. I know that's a common name, so shout out to you, James Jones, for coming in here, rocking with us. We love y'all.
And the homie Q, for sure. Definitely got to shout out the homie Q.
For sending traffic over here and having folks smash that button. We love y'all. I'm going to say it over and over again, so I can't say it no more, because we get on here and make the work to come on in the middle of the night, because we know y'all going to be tapping in with us and talking to us. Thank y'all in the chat after the show, who listen after we're live and catch us in the morning. Melodious, God, all the homies. Tori J, it's love. And our international people who stay connected. Chop Nation.
All the podcast people, all our Spotify folks. We see y'all.
Y'all got me in my heart tonight. We love y'all. It's the end of the show. Make sure y'all tap in. We'll see y'all next week. Hit that bell if you haven't. Hit that thumb if you haven't. We out of here.
Peace. It's the Chop Up.
Yeah.
All right. Niggas definitely said 59.99.